so we're finished with the first several steps of the Proline Pro-2 1/10 two-wheel drive short course truck kit, and what we've built so far is the complete front suspension. So as you can see, we've got the beginnings of the truck ready to go, and basically just talk you through some of the assembly steps as we went through them. Bag A is the bumper brace, bumper and skid plate, and those go together fairly straightforward. Just 2.5 mil and 2.5 screws. You can tell these are really good screws. Proline calls these military spec hardware, and these are really good YFS Japanese screws. Top quality, if you're ever wondered what those initials are for. So we open 3 bags for the first page. Bag A, the Pro-2 bag, which is the suspension pieces like the arms, front and rear, and the shock towers, front and rear. Those all go together pretty well. Very long screw goes through the top shock tower, the outside hole, and that is the front upper shock mounts. And then you put on the body mount. Very cool little body mount system here. It's just a brass screw inside inside this sort of thumb screw thing, and so there's no actual body clips. It's really neat. I don't know how well. I suppose you don't need to do any quick body changes, but it just looks a lot better, I think, on the finished material. Once you got the body mount and everything, it's quite cool. On the second page, we're opening bags C and D. So we're already up to 5 bags open on the second page, and more on that later. The third page of instructions is the camber links. Fairly straightforward, really. One thing I did notice is that the way Proline tell you to put the links in, there's these. Sorry about that. The pivot balls are quite large at one end and smaller on the other end, and they tell you to put them in a specific way. But in the next step, they're mounted backwards. So I don't think it makes a massive deal, but if you're paying attention to that sort of thing, it can throw you. But if you're an experienced racer anyway, you have your own way of doing it. I prefer to have the wide end of the shock ball, of the pivot ball, mounted closest to the plastic, and the way they tell you to do it in step 8 has the wide end of the pivot ball against the screw head. Is it a big deal? It's up to you, really. I followed the instructions to the letter, so maybe I'll swap it around. Who knows? It doesn't really make that much of a huge deal. Steps 10, 11, and 12 are are mounting the lower suspension arms and the brace to the actual suspension mount. Just another slightly confusing thing, from bag B, it tells you to use the 2 hinge pin braces, but you only actually get 1 in the kit, which is this thing here. So minor bit of could just be a typo, very simple, who knows. The front hubs and the wheel hex went on pretty simple. Just make sure you put on the, as it shows you here, the shims between the bearing and the pin. Those go on first, and then step 2 is to put the actual cross pin through. No biggie. The wheel hexes are pretty cool. They're not only are they lock nuts, but as you'd expect, they're serrated lock nuts. pretty good. These really hold. Actually, if you're trying to do a fast wheel change, sometimes it actually slows you down. But it's very, very secure. You don't want your wheel bouncing down ahead of the truck during on the main straight. Steps 13, 14, 15 is attaching the front hub, making the steering links, which are these things. And then we're on to steps 16, 17, and 18, where we're actually mounting this onto the actual chassis. So before we got there, just want to show you the finished product. Just things to maybe note. The body mount actually just slightly covers the screws, the bolts for the shock mounts. I've never assembled one of these before, so you know this particular kit anyway. So I just put it over and just hope for the best. It seems to work okay, so we'll get there. When you're attaching the front hubs in step 13, make sure that you're using the silver colored screw bolt lock nut on the bottom end, because that's a 2.5 mil screw, and the black bolts are for M3 screws. So that's one thing to take note. The other thing is, Proline makes sure to mention this every time that the turnbuckles are shown, but these links should be pointing on the left side. They call it the driver's side. Obviously, if you're in the UK or Japan or wherever, the driver's side is the opposite side. So no biggie. Just keep that in mind. But the turnbuckles they're nice and thick. They probably will take a lot to bend or break, but they are very heavy. So I think titanium turnbuckles are going to be maybe racer's first option part. But they're very sturdy. And I think that's it. So we're going to move on to attaching this and getting everything assembled onto the actual chassis and move on from there. So hope you're enjoying the build so far. If you have any questions or comments, be sure to leave us any questions on the blog, rcracingtv.net, or down below in the comments. Alright? Okay, so here we are. We've got the, just a quick follow-up, we've got the complete front suspension mounted to the chassis. Now we've unclipped the chassis from the main piece of cardboard that comes mounted onto, very neatly mounted onto, and we've got the first pieces of stuff that we're actually attaching ourselves to the main chassis. So once again, the whole main chassis is this really nice, looks like 3 mil thick 7075 aluminum, I believe, and all these pieces from the steering all the way back, even the suspension, already mounted for you. So that probably saves you a good, at least hour and a half, 2 hours maybe, of putting stuff on. So very cool. Now we've taken I don't know, maybe a little over an hour to assemble all the suspension pieces for the front, and now we've got it mounted on. So it's only taken these 3 bolts for the front bulkhead, these 2 bolts for the brace, and 3 big, thick, short, fat steel bolts there, and then the 2 bolts holding on, or the nuts onto the steering arm. The screws going from these screws here that go through this steering link are already mounted already screwed into the steering arm. So that's handy. Again, all we've done is was at 8 screws, I think, if I'm counting right. No, 10 to put everything on, and we've got half the truck ready built already. So pretty handy. So the next thing we're going to be doing, that was steps 16, 17, and 18, just to attach everything. And then wanted to just wrap up the front end. And then we're going to start on the rear end with the the shock towers and camber links. So that'll be the next video.